Untitled Agents podcast.
When it comes to retirement in the real estate industry, I think most of us think, well, shit, I'm going to be selling houses for the rest of my damn life. And the reality is that many of you will, or you'll just leave the industry and you'll be going and greeting people at Walmart, one of the two. That's why I was so intrigued by our guest today when I learned about them and the book that they just wrote and what they teach to real estate professionals, which is succession planning. And they just had a book come out recently called just that, Succession Planning for Real Estate Agents. And what we're talking about here is setting up your business so that you can actually retire, but yet all of the fruits of your labor essentially continue to carry on. And guess what? You get paid, right? It's a novel idea, but very hard for so many to execute. And that's why I'm excited to bring on Jessica and Justin Ball, who are from my neck of the woods in Peoria, Illinois. So welcome to the show, guys.
Really glad to be here.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's start with this. Obviously, I just teased the hell out of it. We know exactly what we're going to talk about today. But before we go there, let's learn a little bit about you guys. So first of all, thank you to Mike Cuevas, who introduced us. And but tell us about yourselves. Tell us, you can each go individually here, like how you got brought up in the business, what led you to where you are today, and what led you to the point, to where you started doing the succession thing, which is so needed.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So Jessica Ball, and I have been licensed just under 5 years. Prior to that, I had a 10-year career in law enforcement and was a federal law enforcement officer. Made the jump into real estate when we started a family. And I was looking for, what is my specialty going to be? How am I going to make a name for myself? And one of the things I noticed when, and I'm with Remax Traders Unlimited out of Peoria. And when I started my brokerage, and I'm sure people in the audience have had this happen too, you just get that email randomly that says, so-and-so retired. If you'd like to buy some open house signs or a couple of riders, go see the front desk receptionist and wish them luck. There'll be a cake in the conference room. And it's like, what just happened? Like, what happened to their clients? What happened to the upcoming listings that they were probably going to have that spring? What just happened? And so I actually started asking a few people, hey, did you have any clients that were going to list soon this spring? I'd love to help you out with that. And it really just started some conversations with agents. And we went to go research and find out, there's got to be a plan or a book on this. There's got to be a how-to guide. There's got to be something on how to transition a book of business to another agent. And it just came up short in our research and couldn't find anything. And so that really kind of spurred this journey that we're on. And that was kind of the start of it. And then we formally have done several succession plans with other agents. Just as we were going through those, realizing the lack of information out there, we were taking notes, we were doing interviews and kind of compiling it all together, and then decided to share it with everyone else because money is being left on the table. Money's being left on the table for the agents who are retiring. Money is being left on the table for agents who are trying to grow their business and find clients, and money is being left on the table for the broker owners, especially because they're losing big when clients retire and those or when their agents retire and those clients are just kind of up for grabs out there for the next person that buys internet leads probably and they click on it. So before I go any further, I'll let Justin introduce himself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Jeff, I'm an academic by trade and by nature, so it's really common for me to write and gather information. For several years, I was Illinois' most desirable unpaid, unlicensed agent, maybe in the whole United States. I don't know. I can claim that one. But I got my real estate license and I am now a commercial agent. And we are working through a succession plan with the #1 Remax commercial broker in the St. Louis region and one of the top commercial agents in the United States. So I'm really looking forward to taking our commercial side of the business to another level through succession planning like Jessica has done with residential agents.
I love it. So you both have been in the business. Justin, how long did you say you've been in the business?
As an unlicensed professional, 5 years. As a licensed professional, just several months at this point.
Interesting. So neither one of you. So obviously, Jessica, with you, law enforcement, I'm sure one of the most common, you said, where am I going to find my niche? I'm sure that was one of them in the very beginning. But, here's the deal. Most real estate professionals, 5 years in the business, are still really trying to figure it out, right? It takes a number of years. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Well, I take that back. Everybody is doing it, but most aren't doing it very well, right? And so it's interesting to me that you're only 5 years into the business, Justin, even less technically, and yet this is where you went, which also doesn't surprise me because it's such an antiquated industry. No offense to any of our listeners, but it's just reality, right? It's average age is in their 50s. And so people retiring is probably somewhat common, but what does retirement actually mean? How many agents are actually setting aside retirement income? Because we don't have pensions. We don't have, you don't have 401ks with most of these companies. You have to do this stuff on your own. And so it just fascinates me that you guys figured this out so short, because most agents at 5 years are still trying to figure out how to sell a hell of a lot of homes. So now that you're here, now that you found this place, what does that look like for your guys' business? What does this look like? I mean, are you guys kind of vacating selling real estate and going all towards this, or what does that look like?
I think it's really growing the Jessica Ball team with Remax Traders Unlimited. Jessica has 2 other residential agents and an unlicensed administrator, assistant, office manager who are doing amazing work in there. And I would think we hope to grow our business through succession planning and stay focused on real estate. We're also investors and business owners. And so prior to my getting my license, I kind of cut my teeth on buying and rental properties. And we have a nice portfolio of some long-term rentals as well.
Awesome. So you just mentioned something so this isn't, when you think of succession planning, I'm thinking of the agent who's wanting to retire, but this is also for the current agents who could potentially take over the business for the person retiring. So I'll let you guys lead this. Tell me just describe this, explain this to somebody who's thought to themselves, crap, I never really thought about that.
Jeff, I'll start off because I got to just share some data from the academic background.
The academic right here.
Yeah. I really kind of dug deep into the National Association of Realtors profile of real estate agents. And there are 300,000 realtors in the United States over the age of 60. And while there are floods and tens of thousands of new realtors joining NAR each year, the average age of agents is going up, and it's now just over 56 years old. And they do this really fascinating question on the realtor profile is, do you plan to be selling real estate in the next 24 months? And of all of the groups, most of them, about 20% said they did not. And so that means there are 65,000 active realtors today who do not plan to be selling real estate in less than 2 years from now. And if you just kind of boil that down to even our home state of Illinois, where there are more than 7,000 realtors over the age of 60, probably closer to 70 in a lot of cases, we have almost 2,500 realtors who will not be selling real estate in Illinois in the next 24 months. And so the industry needs us to do this succession planning, and brokerages have to be thinking about it. And just like you said, younger agents, growing teams and agents, this is a great opportunity to really gather the trade secrets, the sphere of influence, the business, and the lifetime clients as retirees are planning their succession plans.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it from the point of view of an agent who is the successor, and why I think it's important for agents who are looking to grow their business and grow their sphere to look into doing something like this. Is that one? I mean, we're all looking for how can we get our leads? Where can we get our business? And I realized it's literally under our noses here of the agents who are retiring. They have their giant books of business, their giant spheres. They are wanting to let go of it and know that they're going to be given to someone who they can trust to take care of their sphere and their clients that they've been working with for years and years and years. And what young, I would say newer agents into the industry, they're buying zip codes and, trying all the fancy stuff, spending all this money to try to get leads when you can really work out a deal with a seasoned agent who's wanting to exit the industry. And literally that agent is going to put a stamp of approval on you and say, hey, my sphere, my family and friends, I'm working on leaving the industry. I think that, when you need to list your house next week, this is what I'm going to tell you to call. You've just given it credibility and you don't have to go and fight for the conversion. And that has been huge as I've been building my business, is I'm not having to go out there and spend all the money on the zip codes and do all those lead generation things, because it's literally working a partnership with an agent who's leaving the industry. And that agent with our partnerships is getting paid, whether it's a year into their retirement, a couple years into their retirement, however we're structuring the deal. And so for the agents that are retiring, I think the biggest fear that they've had from talking to them is that transition, that first year, because some of them are like, hey, I've got some stuff that's going to kick in a year or two, or in a few years, I'm going to sell some of my rental investment portfolio, things. It's just that initial transition that they're most concerned about. And that's where this really kicks in and can help with that. And I'll let you add in and jump in.
Yeah, so Jeff, I think the core of our book is really about how does a agent that's thinking about retirement begin to identify a successor, or if you are a younger growing agent, how do you sit down and have a really respectful conversation with an agent that's near retirement of, I really respect the work that you've done, the sphere of influence that you've built, the referral network that you have. I'd love to be a partner with you. And then we go through the mechanics and the nuts and bolts of how do you develop a contract for paying out those referrals and structures, and how we share all of the assets of a database, co-branding, co-marketing expenses. And then the real secret sauce of everything is, how do you transfer trust in the retiree sphere of influence to their successor, so that when clients call them and pick up the phone and find out they're not going to be working with Jim, they're going to be working with Justin today, that they really feel great about, this is Jim's team member, or this is Jim's successor, or Jim's replacement, and I'm going to get the same continuity, quality of service, whatever it may be that retiree brought to their business that was special, that their sphere of influence liked. And so we talk about how to identify those things and kind of generationally pass them on, and to not let those secrets of success from really great agents leave the industry.
So what you're saying is, as the young agent, I shouldn't walk into the break room and say, hey, you look old. Let's talk about who's going to take over your business. So when I say, well. I wouldn't think so. But when I say that, because I think this is probably more important actually for the younger agent. I mean, it's super important for the agent looking to retire, right? But that's more logical. I think less logical is that younger agent thinking to themselves, I'm struggling. Where's an avenue? And Justin, you just broke it down. Go back, rewind, listen to those stats. Like, there's opportunity all around all of us. And so, my question is what is that strategy? How do they approach it? And do they approach it with the mindset of, I have an idea and here's why I have this idea, because I read this book, blah, blah, blah. What do you suggest there?
I would say two things there. One, I think an agent probably can't come out of nowhere. They probably need to be present and involved in their brokerage, their MLS, their association. They probably need to show that they're there and they care about the industry, and that they're involved in the longevity of the industry. Because that's going to be really important for the person who is retiring. Is this agent still going to be around? Are they investing in their future as far as being present and involved in the current industry here locally? So I think that's important. And then the other thing would be involving the broker owners. I mean, that's one thing we've done with our broker owner is, hey, we're doing this. If there is anyone that you think is probably nearing retirement that could be a good match for us, let us know. And I think that's one place where there's a vested interest in that broker owner in keeping all that business in-house. And so I think that can be one of the first steps that an agent can do is just go to the broker owner and say, hey, I'm really interested in doing something like this. Do you see any potential relationships out there that I could tap into and that I could work towards and doing? And I think the other thing too, maybe particularly with a very newer agent or even one that's been around for a while, volunteering to, if they think there may be an agent that they do see a potential opportunity with, offering, hey, when you're on vacation, when you head to Florida for a couple of weeks this winter, I'm happy to help you with your business. We can work something out, or hey, I'm happy to host an open house for you, things like that. And that shows an eagerness, and it gives an opportunity to test the waters. There's no risk there in having someone host an open house or cover your clients for a week. Very minimal risk, I would say. And it's a good way to test how they work with your clients, get feedback from your clients. And so there's good ways to test that.
And Jeff, I think if you or I or anybody went to someone who is a seasoned agent in the industry and said, Jeff, I really respect the work that you've done. Can you tell me about how you grew your business or how you became 100% referral based, and you start to develop that relationship, and you honestly said to them, I would love to learn more from you. Have you ever thought about building a team or having a succession plan? I don't think anybody's going to laugh in your face and throw you out of their office. I think the worst response that we've heard from people is someone would say, I'm really not ready to retire yet, or I'm planning on bringing my son or my niece or nephew in to do this, or, I've already committed to working with someone else in this process. But I would say a majority of the time, people, experienced agents are generally flattered, and it really opens the door for a great conversation. And even in the case when people have said, I have a family member, I have someone else in the building, the brokerage, whatever it is, a lot of people we've worked with get a call 2 or 3 months later, and the conversation is, maybe my niece wasn't as interested in being a realtor, or not as realistic, or got a different job and not a real estate license, or clearly this person that I thought was going to be my successor wasn't a great fit and isn't taking the initiative, and let's kind of reopen those conversations in there.
So once you get to this point, then, is it typically obviously, I guess it depends on who is initiating this, but in terms of structuring the pay, the comp, and how long, what does that look like? And I'm sure it's not one size fits all, but I'm sure you guys have you've developed some sort of a strategy that works for everyone. And so what does that look like, or how do you advise someone on either side to structure this?
In the book, we kind of talk through first, what kind of timeline do you have? Is this I'm leaving next week and I want to make this happen, and here's the keys to my office, put everything else in the dumpster when you're done? Or is this my plan is to retire in 3 years and I'm going to start spending 3 months a year in Florida or Texas or wherever, and we want to work through this? And so again, you're right, everything is individual. We talk through in the book about 3 kind of structures and contracts for building the succession plan. So whether you are legitimately peers making and paying referrals between each other, whether you set up a formal team structure where one person is the team leader and one person is a team member, or whether you have a formal team as equals almost in that sense. But what we typically tend to find is the best time frame is to have a few years to make that trust transition and to expose your sphere of influence to your successor, for them to be introduced to some people who are critical and big referrers for you, and to do some of that co-marketing and co-branding. And then for once you formally do retire and are no longer selling, to have about a 3-year payout structure on those referrals. And really anybody can take referrals from a retiree, as long as that retiree is in a referral network or has an active license still, even if it's somewhere else. But I think we have some formulas where we sit down and we say, you can expect to, in referral business, do about 1/3 of the last 3 years average closed business. And so we make suggestions about what your referral commission fees should be to that retired agent, if you should make a lump sum payment as a part of that plan, or what we really have found works best is not only paying those referral fees on clients, but baking in a 1 and 2 year incentive bonus. And so, in our market, given the average home price, $5,000 is a pretty big incentive. But again, we're in a market where the average home sale price is roughly $150,000. So we're all in different places geographically with it. But when you bake in and having that contract some production kind of bonus in there, that retiree suddenly has some skin in the game to still hand out business cards, even if it's as a referral agent, or actively sit down at holidays and talk with their family about having their real estate needs referred over, or legitimately when their phone rings, not ignoring it and taking down that message and that information and passing it on to their successor right away.
So when you say incentive bonus, you mean like if we close X number of units or X number of volume, I give you X, and that's purely to drive them to be engaged, essentially.
Sure. So, there's nothing that's standard or typical in an area. But we've talked to people in California where 40% is a referral fee, and we've talked to people where 20% is a referral fee commission. But we may structure a contract and say, we'll give you 30% the first year for referrals, 25% the second year, and 20% the third year. And if you refer 5 million worth of closed business in year one, we'll give you a $5,000 bonus. And if you refer $10 million in business between the first 2 years, we'll give you another $5,000 or $10,000 bonus in there. But it really depends. I think, if you have someone who is a retiree who is in a really large lake community and has a firm grasp on business in that area, it's really different than someone who's a broad generalist who sells a lot of different type of houses throughout an entire market like Peoria, Illinois, where we're at.
Do you find that these agents are structuring this and such that, because is it like for the younger agent, they're paying the retiree on all the deals they do, or is it only specifically referred deals? And then at what point is there the muddied water of, okay, let's just say they did the succession plan, which was co-marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So you spent 2 or 3 years co-marketing, and then you said, we're going to do a plan that I'm now stepping away. I still get paid, but now the customer came to the successor first. And then is it an honor system of whether or not there's going to be a commission paid to the retiree? Like, how does that work? Like, I could see that getting muddy.
Yeah. No, and that's very much where the trust comes in, but you're right. It can get a little confusing. And it really depends on how you structure it and how much time you have with any of the co-branding and co-marketing. And so a great example is one of the ones that we did. We had a full year of co-branding that we did. Now, the one thing I was worried about as an agent who already had my own sphere growing of my own people and everything, I didn't want to lose my identity as my own little team, the Jessica Ball team, doing the succession plan with this agent, because I thought, well, I don't know that I quite want to take the name of that agent and join it with mine when he's going to be out of the business in a year. And that's just going to confuse my clients and whatnot. So the co-branding that we did was strictly to his clients. So on all the mailers, all of those things, everything his clients saw with him had me on there as well. And so they were seeing my face, seeing my name, seeing everything. We did some cocktail parties and get-togethers and some dinners where I was there. I was getting introduced to the people that he works the most frequently with. his top referrers. And so any of those that then, those are considered his sphere, his database. So any referrals that I receive from those are definitely ones that we pay out of. But I also have my team over here, and we're doing our own, the own advertising and own marketing separate from that. And so it is very much just keeping track. I think that's why having a CRM is really important, a database where I know, hey, these names, these people here, if we get a call from here or we get someone from here, that's something we pay our retiree for someone that came from here. And then that's also, and then anyone that, if the retiree is out there on the street and talking to someone and they refer that person to us, I mean, that's someone that they just brought to the door for us as well. And so I think that having the database is part of one of the big things as well with building the trust is getting the database organized. Because depending on what that database could look, I mean, that database could be 10,000 names where 8,000 of those names have been, leads that never responded to anything. And so there is a cleanup process in making the database that is handed over realistic.
And at the end of those 3 years, the successor takes ownership of that database at that point in that sphere of influence. And so part of the motivation to really keep in touch with the retirees sphere of influence is knowing that you have the potential to build lifetime clients and referrals of referrals of referrals, because the contracts we structure are that those referral fee payments end after 3 years. Now, some people may want to do 2 years, or they may just want to pay a cash lump sum for the book of business and not see residual things. But we've found that a lot of retirees too don't want to be getting paid everything up front in a lump sum. They want it spread over a number of years for Social Security or for their retirement or whatever it may be. And so those are all things that are discussed and make these contracts individual as opposed to templates in that sense of it.
Well, and the other thing I was thinking too, as you were describing that, Jessica, was that, from the younger agent's perspective, I would, Justin, you probably know the stats, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's something like 13% of homeowners would say they would use their agent again. But 95% say they would, but only 13% do. Right. And so I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, I'm going to be handed, whether they're old leads or not, they probably haven't been nurtured like they should, or they were nurtured incorrectly, or they were nurtured poorly. I'm going to give them I'm going to come at them from a different angle. And obviously if I'm coming at them with this, the retiree on my shoulder, which is kind of helping endorse me, basically, that's a lot of opportunity. I mean, you mentioned buying the book. That was the first thing I thought of as we started talking, was that's so common in insurance. You buy a book of business, you walk away, it's over. I like the succession idea, the spreading it out over a number of years, co-marketing. So Jessica, I wanted to ask you, you've done this. First of all, how many times have you done it? And if you've only done it once, for example, how did you do it? Like, what was your structure? I'm curious to hear kind of the details on that.
Yeah. So we're on our third official one right now.
Nice.
And the first one we had, I would say, a little over a year to do the co-branding. And that actually, interestingly enough, that agent had bought a book of business with a lump sum 15, 18 years prior. Wow. With another agent. So the interesting thing is clients from that agent are actually now part of my sphere. And I'm nurturing them and talking with them.
Nice.
So that's actually, they've gone through 2 succession plans,
wow.
Those clients, and they're still loyal clients because they've been given,
sure.
This is who you call. This is who you talk to. And so for a year, we did the co-branding. All his clients were seeing my face, my name. We actually shared an administrative assistant during that year. That was part of our plan. We shared the cost of administrative assistant. She helped with the database, made sure all of the database was getting cleaned up, made sure we had some continuity with some phone numbers, and that's one of the little probably tactical things is what phone number are you going to use for this transition, because your clients probably need to be starting to see maybe a new office phone number or something early, so it's not something sudden later, or email address or something they need to start routing to make sure it's going to be a smooth transition. And so we, for a year, did that, and we did some like meet and greets with his clients and things. And it was, I would say, extremely successful in that standpoint, because some of his clients just call me directly now because they know, hey, this is who I'm supposed to be calling. Jim told me this is who I call. Or, he gets them as well on his cell phone, and he'll shoot me a text or a phone call. Hey, so-and-so just reached out to me. I told them you would give them a call this afternoon to set up the listing appointment. I just got I'm not fighting for the conversion. I'm not fighting for any of that. I mean, their agent that they trusted for 27 years just told them that he's sending out Jessica to their house. And so they're just waiting for me to show up.
Awesome.
And then another one was very, very quick. It was about 2 weeks. It was unplanned. It just happened to, the opportunity came up. It was someone literally that we were going to get the email that said so-and-so retired. And if you want some open house signs, please go grab them. And I was like, whoa, hold the phone. And called her up. I said, do you have someone that you're partnering with to handle your leads once you walk away? And the answer was, well, no, I hadn't really thought of that. And so I said, all right, I need a few hours. Literally, they were moving out of state. I said, I need 3 hours minimum of literally you in a room. I need to take some notes. I need the top people you're talking to, who had mentioned before they might be listing next year, and switched over any of the listing alerts that clients were getting out of her CRM and put that into mine. We did very quick couple intro phone calls, emails. It was very fast. But I would say at this point in time right now, I have 2 of her clients are going to be listing here soon. And I'm working about 3 or 4 of those buyers right now that were hers. And so that's clients right there that I would not have had we not worked that transition. And right. That one really, there was really no transition. There was no co-marketing, branding, none of that. And so that one was very fast, probably not as, monetary wise, probably not as productive there, because we didn't have the longevity of transferring the whole sphere. We were able to just kind of grab a few of them that were right there. And then the third one that we're working on right now, I'll let Justin talk a little bit more about that, but that's the commercial one. And that one I would say is kind of a different beast all in itself, because commercial is a different beast. And so there's a lot more, when it comes to the signs. I mean, you think signs are expensive in residential, wait till you get to commercial signs, and things like that. And it's just the sphere and the leads, it's just a very different group to work with. And that one's going to be a multi-year project and plan that we're working through, just because it's a different arena.
Before you go there, on the first 2, what are the terms that you worked out on both of those?
Yeah, I think it was, and I don't have the contract in front of me, but the first one was a 3-year.
Did that include the 1 year of co-marketing? So
no,
1 year co-marketing was just meshing together. Then the clock starts for the 3 years.
Yep. And so the way that year worked is, I believe we split expenses when it came to some marketing material. So anything that my name was on, I shared half the cost of that, shared the cost of the administrative assistant. And then it was if he was out of town or something, I jumped in and helped with those clients. And I don't even know that necessarily I took any pay for helping out, because I had the picture in plan there, and I knew I wanted to develop those relationships with those clients and jump in there. And so it was after and it worked out nice too, because if I went on a vacation, he was able to jump in and grab a few things. So there's a lot of mutual benefit to that, to partnering with someone during that year, or however long it needs to be. But
that year was sweet for him too, because he's making full commission and now splitting costs. So it's like, that's a really sweet way to set the table for, okay, now you're going to make less, but he can walk away. I mean, that takes the greed out of it, which I think is probably the one word that will hamper a lot of these relationships. So that's awesome. So carry on. So what did you do in number 2? So that was a 3 year. So essentially 4 total years together. And so then what was the second one, which happened overnight?
Yeah. And I will say with the contracts too, there's a clause in there for, where it says, for as long as you're licensed, or, when it, because if someone decides to drop their license, then it's over at that
Legally,
point.
they cannot be paid now.
Exactly. So if an agent doesn't go through and do their relicensing, because both of them renewing their license right now. So it was all kind of contingent on them renewing their license. But seeing that, hey, I've got stuff coming through the pipeline, I better renew my license. Both of them are getting their license renewed right now to make sure they do continue to get paid through the contract. And then the second one, that one, very basic. We may have even done a year on that one to kind of see, because and now that she is going to get relicensed, we'll chat about that. But yeah, because that one was just thrown together.
Yeah.
What can we make happen here to get you some monetize, your retirement, but then also me grow my sphere.
You threw her a curveball. How did she react when you spent that 3+ hours with her? Was she like, holy shit, I never thought of this?
I think grateful would be the word, because I think having someone that and this isn't someone that I had never talked to before either. Sure. This is someone from my brokerage that I would take the time to chat with and to talk to. And so it wasn't like there was no relationship there. I think, relief and gratefulness that she had someone specific to call instead of just the main office number when one of her clients needed something.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. It definitely, and I want to get to commercial side, Justin, but it definitely shifts the mindset. Because I think most real estate professionals are like, email, somebody's retiring, sweet, free cake, and you're thinking, sweet, a book of business. I mean, which is like 1,000,000x smarter. And I think this is going to shift the mindset of real estate professionals, because we're an industry that is known for always being willing to take a free drink, a free lunch, a free donut, right? And Jessica, you sounds like you just thought bigger than most of the industry. That's awesome.
I think one of the other things too is, as Jessica went through those succession plans, we really started to write components of the book are what are the assets that a real estate agent has. And so we talked a little bit about that database, and some databases are nice and clean. Here's the exported, comma delimited spreadsheet. Some are, here's my filing cabinet that I'm going to wheel in the office with Dolly. Some are Rolodexes. Some have to be completely reconstructed through the brokerage, through transaction management, to find maybe their 10-year history in there. And I think real estate agents in particular don't realize the other assets they have. If you have a specific domain name where people go that they have bookmarked and go to peruse houses, or an app that's there, or an office in a very particular visible space, really unique signs, a unique selling program or proposition, those are things that are assets that you should be transferring in the succession plan for that kind of continuity in it. And it's not just the names in the database. There's advertising contracts and magazines and billboards and right on down the line of assets that people don't really take the time to think about their value and how necessary they are to support your business.
It's awesome.
I'll add to that. One of the other things we've kind of done as well is, one of these other kind of intangible assets is seats in some networking groups. Where agents have been in these groups for 10, 15 years. And so having the successor step into taking over that seat and that role, and that takes time too, to really gain the trust of that referral network and that group. And so that's something that can be built into the contract as well. If someone just paid for their seat for a year, in that group, hey, I want my successor to be in there and taking over that seat. And so I can get those referrals from, the group that I've been getting referrals from for 10 years. I at least want to continue that for at least what I paid for in that seat. And so things like that can also be, that's why it's so, there's kind of a boilerplate you could put together, but it's so specific to the market and the area and the agents and the people and the kind of business that they do as well.
Yeah. It's a good point. So Justin, tell us about the commercial deal. I'm curious to hear about that.
So with a commercial agency, it's not necessarily the book of business like it is with traditional residential. There is really a broker mailing list or an agent mailing list for your distribution, and learning to do offering memorandums and brochures and things that are branded that way. And so as we've gone through this, we have kind of renamed a team as a loose partnership and started to replace a number of commercial signs, to do introductions into groups and corporate clients, and to really begin to, with commercial, understand the specialties that a person can be very honed in on, whether it's office or multifamily or ground leases, farm, land, lots. There's so much to it. And so really both learning the business and developing the network, and then how to really leverage the name and the brand of that existing retiring agent over the course of the next year that we'll work together, and then in subsequent years when we have that contract together.
That's amazing. So I think we uncovered a lot today for people, and even like the last point you made, Jessica, like getting into a BNI, for example, sometimes is not easy to do. And it's like a mass rush, like to get there and get to stand up and talk about yourself. And so to have that freebie essentially handed to you, there's value in that. Maybe you can't, it's hard to put a monetary value on it, but man, it's valuable. And that's really, really awesome. Is there anything that I didn't ask that is important to point out that we don't want to miss?
I think there's one thing, and Jeff, you kind of skirted around it, but as we've talked to agents who are retiring, and they'll say, it's just so hard for me to retire because no one can do exactly what I do or exactly how I do it. And this is where we get into topics about emotional fit and kind of working through those emotional challenges of setting your retirement date, holding firm to that retirement date. But then to say, you probably do 100 things really well, but what are the 4 or 5 things that you do that your clients say, this is what Justin does really well, that you need to be able to transfer those skills and habits and systems to your successor to make sure that your clients are getting continuity. Everybody does CMAs, everybody does showings. Not everyone does X client party. Not everyone goes and sits around the kitchen table to talk with their clients beforehand. Not everybody donates a percentage of their returns to charity or has buy-sell programs. And so I think a lot of times retirees get caught up in the minutia of everything instead of really thinking about what are the 4 or 5 things that are most important to me. And people really have this perception that their clients won't like their successor, or their successor won't do X as well. And what we've really seen is if people pick out those 3, 4, 5 different things and train, help prepare their successor to do those things, when people find out that the retiree is actually retiring, they're happy for them. And they continue to send them business and they say, Jeff, I'm so happy that you retired. Your successor, Justin, is doing these things that really meant a lot to us when we were your clients here, sitting around the kitchen table, running us spreadsheets on investment properties, doing showings on Sunday afternoons because that's our availability, whatever it was, that really made that retiree's business distinct and made it unique. And how do we transfer those along with the trust? And that's one of those things that builds the trust is, I know that this person will always pick up the phone and call me, or I know this person will text me once a week with a report on hits on our listing and number of visits or whatever it is in there.
It's a good point. And that's actually a conversation that comes up all the time when we talk about scaling a business. Mm-hmm. And that's what holds so many people back from scaling a business is they won't do it as good as I can. And that's what literally holds them back and keeps them in their business for the entirety of their career. And then here we are talking about succession and they have the same objection.
Jeff, you wouldn't believe some of the things that we hear. They're like, no one knows about seawalls in this lake community like I know about seawalls. And I said, that's a transferable skill. You can educate someone on seawalls. This is not, it's important. It's hard. It's not in everybody's vocabulary, but it's not an unteachable aspect to begin to know about seawalls.
Yeah.
You can't always teach empathy, and you can't always
The
teach
work ethic and things like
the
that.
work ethic in
Yeah.
there, but you find someone and then you groom that person in that sense for those things that are unique and special.
I love it. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to open up a little bit. They're not going to be you. They're going to have some skills that you don't have, and some traits that you don't have that are better, and maybe some that they don't. But what's the alternative? Walk away with nothing. I mean, come on, be smarter than that. That's what I would say. I love it. I love it. And guys, this has been awesome. So do you have any closing remarks, anything that you want the audience to take away?
Yeah, I hope you would go check out our website. It's resuccession.com. Our book is available in print and ebook and audiobook. We've got some great free resources on our website as well. We do consulting and presentations to brokerages. If you're a broker owner who has a wide variety of ages of agents that are out there, or if you are going through a succession plan and you really need someone to help you formulate your specific contract, we are happy to provide some consultation services for that. And if you know anyone buying or selling a home in Peoria, Illinois, we would love your referrals also.
Yep. Our team website is jessicaballhomes.com.
Jessica, say that again.
jessicaballhomes.com.
Love it. And if you're thinking about retiring and you're in that area, Jessica knows how to do a succession plan. So she'll take over your business. Guys, this has been great. Again, resuccession.com. The book, you can find it on Amazon and probably other places. Succession Planning for Real Estate Agents. Go check that out. And at the very least, just start thinking about this stuff. I mean, God, we just uncovered a hella opportunity. This covers everybody, literally everybody in the real estate industry. And I think you just opened up some doors. So it's really cool. If they want to connect with you, what's the best way to send you a message?
Yeah. So on Facebook, we have both our business page for succession planning is facebook.com /
Real estate succession.
Oh, I got it wrong. Justin's going to correct me. Justin, what is it?
It's facebook.com / real estate succession. The best way to get a hold of us is just resuccession@gmail.com. Or you can find all of our personal numbers and emails at jessicaballhomes.com.
Leave it to the data guy.
I know. That's why I keep him around. I fired him in those, 4.5 years that he was an unlicensed, unpaid assistant.
I love it. At least he brings some value now. That's good. I love it, guys. Thank you so much. And definitely hope to stay in touch.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody listening.
LabCoatAgents podcast.